Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ibi Speaks. And my name is Ibinabo Enebi. And first and foremost, I want to appreciate all of my faithful viewers and all of my subscribers for joining us today. And listen, if you're a first-time viewer, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. And if you're wondering about what my channel is about, my channel is about encouraging, motivating, informing you so that you can make better life choices in the future. And what I do is that I bring everyday people like you and me and thought leaders and experts to share their stories and expertise, because I believe that our stories and expertise are like streetlights in survival kits that can help those coming behind us. So I've started a series titled Avoiding the Later Life Crisis series. And the series is aimed at sharing insights in how to do things better so that you don't end up with a crisis in future. I've had 7 episodes so far. So today's episode is the 8th installment of the series, and it's titled Strategic Life Planning Tips for Single Parents. And to do justice to this conversation is my special guest, Tonte Ikiriko, an adult protective services specialist, joining us all the way from the United States of America. Welcome, Tonte, to Ibi Speaks.
Hi, happy to be here. Second time around. It's a pleasure.
Tonte, listen, I'm so happy that you're here today. And you know, we've had our initial glitches, but you know what? I don't worry about the glitches anymore because it's life. This is what life is about. Life is full of glitches. You plan and then things happen. So whoops, that's life. So so before we start the conversation proper, I just want to thank all of my subscribers. And again, that if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. It's Ibinabo Enebi, and you can follow me on my social media handles, Ibinabo Enebi on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on TikTok, yeah. And I have a website, ibinaboenebi.com. I have very interesting conversations there. You might want to check out some of our articles, and you can be a part of this conversation by leaving your questions and your comments if you're watching via Zoom or by YouTube, and my guest would answer some of your questions. So Tonte, you know, before we begin this conversation proper, right, I deliberately didn't talk about you. And because I want you to give us a brief overview of who you are. And particularly so, Tonte, I am very interested in your profession. You're an adult protective services office and expert, yeah? So what's that all about, Tonte?
So, after working many years in the retail industry, I found myself working for the government. And I started my career in that field, working with child protective services. This is where we go out to investigate child abuse. And 1 second, my notifications are driving me crazy. Let me stop this. Okay, yeah. So I used to work as a child protective investigator, investigating child abuse. And then when I moved to the state of Florida, I became an adult protective investigator, meaning I work with the elderly. And in the state of Florida, you'll notice that a lot of Americans actually move to Florida because of the warm weather to retire. So here I was immersed into the world of the elderly population, everything to do with their life, the things that they have to go through, medications, you know, the end of life. Sometimes, you know, a client would die while I'm still running their cases because they're old people. The end of life is death, you know. So I have been immersed in that world for a long time. I've done this in 3 different states in the United States. So I have gotten to experience the laws regarding elderly abuse or geriatric, their geriatric world from different perspectives, because each in the United States, they have different states have different statutes and laws that guide adult protection. And actually, for those that don't know what an adult protective specialist is a person that investigates abuse, neglect, and exploitation of the elderly. So I have been fortunate to understand not just what happens to you at someone at my age, but what happens to people when you're on the other end, when you're on your way out. And it has helped me look at life a little differently. And in addition to that, there was a time I thought I was going to be working in the funeral industry after I lost my younger sister a couple of years ago. So I have also seen the funeral angle of it. I actually started taking classes, went to school. I thought I was going to be an embalmer at some point. So I've actually been to the morgue a lot. I've seen the dead people. So I have a very, very good grasp of what life is and how my reality in the present should be. So I have that extra, I guess, feather on my hat. So when you're talking about end stage, preparing for life at our later years, I feel like I have a good grasp of that knowledge.
Fantastic, Tonte. And
Yeah.
well, yeah, fantastic. And Tonte, when you say that you have a good grasp of life, right? When I was thinking about this topic about strategic life planning for
Yeah.
single parents, I was thinking about, so who can actually do justice to this conversation? Because I wanted somebody that was honest, that would be generous with the truth. I wanted somebody that would speak the truth and to say things the way they are, that wouldn't color anything. So I said, who would be the best person to talk about this? And I said, Tonte would talk about it. So Tonte, you're a friend of Ibi Speaks.
Yes.
You're also my childhood friend.
Yes,
and
we go way back.
We go way back, right? And
Yes.
you're the kind of friend that I have. The way when we talk about this is that we Port Harcourt people, we don't. When we're friends, we're friends. We don't have any airs around us. We know how to roll. You've got my back, I've got your back. And if I'm messing up, you're going to tell me, Ivy, you are messing up. Stop this. And vice versa, So that's why I love you. Now, Tonte, I want us to talk about, the conversation today is about single parents.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, it's about strategic life planning tips for single parents, and it's part of our avoiding later life crisis conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you, Tonte, that what makes being a single parent peculiar?
Well, what makes being a single parent peculiar is obvious answer is that you're single, and I don't want to call it mainstream media, but society in general. Actually, the expectation is that you come up, you're a child, one day you're a teenager, then you go to college. And in fact, by the time you're in your final year in college, everybody expects you to get married. And yes, and then every young girl I know wants to get married. I mean, we fantasize about that beautiful wedding, the wedding dress, and all those things and everything. And but then there's no one even really thinks about, oh, I'm going to live my life as a single person, because, especially if you grew up in a home where you had a two-parent household, regardless of the dynamics of your family, your parents, you still think that, okay, every storybook is telling you that it's going to end happily ever after. So as a young girl, you're coming of age, you start to date, and it's okay, all of a sudden your parents think it's okay for you to have a boyfriend, and nobody's getting upset because they do want you to get married. And so you start to navigate through life. Fairy tales will say sometimes you have to kiss a whole bunch of frogs before you meet your Prince Charming, and then you're kissing the frogs, and then maybe you pick up one of those frogs and it's turning into your prince, and then later on you find out that, oh, this is really still a real frog. He's not going to ever turn into a prince. So a lot of times at a young age, no one is really ever thinking you're going to be a single parent. It's just society is not presenting that picture. The commercials on TV are really talking about a single mother and everything. In fact, it is very strange. I remember being young, and my uncle used to date around. My mom had only just one brother, and he was like a playboy. He was fine. And he used to take me out. I think he would just like to parading me as his little niece. He used to take me even to college campuses to meet his girlfriends and things like that. And I remember him specifically dating a girl that was single with a child. And he really liked her, but for some reason I found out that he wasn't even he liked her a lot, but it wasn't looking like he was gonna settle down with her. So that's when I started really noticing there's that whole another side of life where a woman can actually be a single parent. And I noticed that he wasn't looking at her like someone that he was going to get married to. And then so I knew that there was something odd. That looked as if people who are single parents are not going to get married. But when I moved to the United States, I found out that that was not the case. My next door neighbor, one day we woke up, hey, where are you going? I'm going to Dallas. I'm getting married. And she went with her little daughter and she got married. So that's when I knew that those possibilities exist. And as time went on with life and me observing things, I found out that there are different aspects of a woman's life that could kind of dictate if she's going to be single in her early years and maybe married later. It depends on your growing up. Like personally, I'm a firstborn daughter to my parents. My parents had a very difficult marriage. I don't look at that as an example of how marriage should really be. I mean, I had a beautiful childhood, don't get me wrong. My parents were affluent people. I had everything I needed. But the dynamics between my parents, I don't think was exemplary. And also, my mom had a lot of kids, so I think I was even parentified because I found myself, okay, a teenager, but I was helping changing diapers still because my mom was still having babies. So by the time I came of age, even though my marriage crashed really early, I don't think I was really looking forward to a life of sitting down in a marriage. And I guess my reality of marriage was a bit skewed because of my parents. So here I was, I had my son, and I wasn't, even though after I had my son, the doctor was saying, so when are you going to have the next one? I was like, wait a minute, I spent my whole life changing diapers. I don't know this. I seem very content with having my son, even though I wish I had a daughter, but mentally, sometimes these things happen in your mind. You might want one thing, but your actions are not gravitating towards that. So that's another reality of being single. Some people think that the person is a single parent because they didn't find a husband. It's not the case. Sometimes you really are trying to find yourself, trying to find something that is called, maybe trying to find a sense of normalcy. Maybe you've been raising children for your parents because you were a firstborn. So that's, like I said, in the social work field, they call it when a person is parentified. The person that's been parentified is trying to relive their teenage years in some way, the freedom that comes with it. And it just goes on and on and on. And then being a single parent too, by the time you're single for a long time and you're not waking up next to a man every day and trying to fix breakfast for him and your whole world's revolving around a man, you become more and more used to being a single person. And as time goes on, even when you're meeting people and the opportunities to get married come, somehow you're not really excited around becoming partnered because you're so used to being by yourself. So you're now becoming used to being by yourself. And sometimes even the thought of being partnered and married could be actually scary. But then society thinks that you should have a ring on your finger, you should be a Mrs., you should change your last name, and it just goes on and on and on. So there's just different realities to being single. And also culturally, as a Nigerian woman, marriage is it's held in high esteem. I mean, that's why a lot of women, the thought of even being divorced is very scary, even if they're in the most abusive circumstances. Even though that is beginning to change now, we're finding a lot of women stepping away from abusive situations and knowing that it's totally okay to be by yourself.
Wow.
So pretty much that's what, in a nutshell, what it's like for me. When I see being single, that's from that perspective. That's how I look at it.
Tonte, when I said that when I wanted you, when I chose you,
Mm-hmm.
I chose you because I knew that you were going to be honest and authentic.
Yes.
Here you are talking about the things that a lot of people wouldn't want to talk about, which is actually a problem. Because a lot of times, a lot of people are not married because they had a skewed vision of marriage through their parents' marriage.
Yeah.
And so again, that becomes a problem for them. And again, you used a new word that I just learned, parentified.
Yes.
Where I think a lot of people are parentified really. And so by the time they are parentified from a very young age, by the time they get to that stage, by the time they become adults, they want to become teenagers during their adults because they were
Yes.
parentified from a very long time. And so that's why we begin to see the rascality in the teenage year, in the adult years, because people don't feel like getting married. But but again, the reality is that whether you want to be married, or whether you got parentified early, or whether you had a skewed sense of, or you had the experiences or the examples of marriage that you had around you wasn't positive, whether that happens or not, if you become a single parent, right, doesn't, all of your experiences doesn't remove the pressures and the difficulties of being a single parent. So, which brings me to the next question.
Yeah.
What are the unique pressures of being a single parent? And Tonte, I'm asking you, but I want to digress a little bit, right?
Yes.
And I don't want to sound, let me put it this way, and it hurts me. A lot of times, even in the churches, even in society, people do not value, right, single parents. They don't value single parents. They don't value widows. And so when somebody is a single parent, they're kind of like pushed to the background. All we celebrate is or Couples Day, even when we celebrate Mother's Day, it's about the women that are married with their husbands, and all the things like that. And sometimes I feel very upset by such things, because I personally feel that as women, we should support one another.
Yeah.
That being a single parent, I look at single parents as one of the strongest people that I know. So I kind of don't like it when we don't extend the grace that single parents deserve to them. Which again brings me to this question. So what are some of the unique pressures and extra stresses that single parents experience? Again, Tonte, again, let me say this. You've had a lot of life experiences. You've worked with children that are in abusive relationships. You've worked with people with elderly. So in those scenarios and situations, Tonte, you can draw a graph or a picture around what's been, or how, or the pressures of single parents.
Well, it used to be that truly back in the day, it was more fashionable, should I say, or it was a standard that you would be married, and that was why any woman would just get up and marry a bum on the street, just to bear that title that they're married. And but that has changed a lot. I mean, I think with tech, I don't even know if to call it, I can't say technology, but with time, it's just like any time, like it's an era. When I was growing up, it was you would get married, and most people were married. And I feel like maybe even if they were single parents, and anything was hidden in the dark some way. I mean, I have an aunt that I didn't even know she was a single parent, because she was a single parent, and then she met my uncle and she got married. But when I became single, that was the first time she shared with me that, her first child was actually before her marriage. So people it wasn't something that people showcased easily. But as time went on, you start to notice that there are more single parents. People are taking the step to separate rather than sit in a dysfunctional situation. They get separated or divorced. And we found out that for you to have a well-adjusted child, it is not in the child's best interest to stay in an abusive marriage. And by the time you watch a couple of episodes of Oprah and all these shows on TV, you start to understand that it's perfectly okay to become single. I'm talking about people that have been married before, because most times people will just say I do to just anybody, just because they want to be married, because this is what society wants. I mean, I was one of the people that even got married late, and I feel like I got married because of a little bit of external pressure, because, oh, how many times do you want to be somebody's bridesmaid? Everybody say, when is it your turn, and everything like that, so I had that going for me. And also the fact that my dad had kind of programmed me to marry from my place. So, you end up making the kind of choices that are not really good for you long term. But then again, there's a different type of single woman that has never been married before. She came of age. Sometimes maybe you get to 30 years old, 35 years old, you have fibroid. Doctor is saying if you get pregnant, you have to have this baby or you're never going to have a child again. And next thing, you're immersed into this single woman, single parent world. That was not what you set out to do for yourself. But you find yourself, so basically, to be a single parent, there's different aspects of it. The ones that are divorcees and the ones that have never been married before. So if you've never been married before, you probably don't know what it is to wake up every day to a warm, as my friend would say, a warm body in your bed every morning. That is one of the perks of being married. You have your husband. You don't, I guess you're not going to have moments of being lonely. You already are setting your routine. You wake up, this man has got to have breakfast. Some women fix his clothes, spread out what he's going to wear, make sure he has a lunch pack to go to work. I mean, everything we see on TV, that's married life for you. He's going to help you discipline your child. Both of you have your roles. There's the masculine and feminine energy in the home. And that whole daddy's home, daddy, knock on the door, that excitement that I experienced growing up, that's what people in a marriage enjoy. Okay. We're not talking about the things that they don't enjoy. We're talking about the good stuff. For a single person, your life is you and your kid. You have this big bed all to yourself. You can be yourself. You don't always have to be prim and proper. You have time to explore other things, other leisures, hobbies, interests, passions, and without any kind of restrictions. You're really not answering to anybody. You have to raise your child the best way you can, even though I believe so much that, like, if you're raising a male child, really the father's influence is very important there. And if you're raising a female child, you should also to avoid mommy and daddy issues. Okay. Doesn't mean that people in a marriage are not neglecting these things. They exist too. That's the thing about this differentiation between single and married. Issues are issues. They pop up in both scenarios. You understand? Everything about us as human beings comes from our upbringing, our DNA, and different things about us. So when you say the challenges, when someone who is married, having your partner, your life partner, you're really not thinking about dating anybody. You have this person, you have committed yourself for the rest of your life, and you don't really have to worry about the dating game and all these things that come with being a single parent, or before you were even married, or when you were coming of age. You're dating, you're trying to get to know somebody. And for women, we have I always wonder that to be a woman is a very, very unique experience, in that most of the things that we know later in life is what we should have known when we were starting life. So when we start off life, we start off naive, and all these experiences are being thrown at us. And sometimes we don't even have the right tools to deal with it. But you find out that when you're on the other end of life, maybe a lot older, in your 40s, you're more experienced, you're wiser, you seem to know how to identify red flags, etc., etc. So, but by then, those experiences, you're not able to apply it to anything, because it's not like you're meeting a wide array of people to implement some of these wisdoms that you get. So it's kind of backwards. For me, when we're talking about the end stage of life, after observing tons and tons of elderly people, one thing is for certain: one partner dies, just like what happened with Queen Elizabeth. Her husband died the year before, and she died the following year. At some point, the question is, who is going to go first? A lot of times the husband will go many years. I have met a lot of widows, their husbands died. And so you become what? A single parent again. You're single. It's happening.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah. You're either going to be single at maybe when you're in your 50s or 60s, if your husband, with the life expectancy of the average Nigerian man right now, it's looking like a lot of them are checking out at the age of from 50, 60 and up. I don't know what it is, if it's our diet or all this palm oil we're eating and the cholesterol or something, whatever. So at some point, a woman most likely is going to end up unpartnered. If you're fortunate, it happens later in life. If you're unfortunate, it happens earlier in life. Okay, so at the end of the day, you as an individual, I guess if I was to speak to my younger self, is to focus on things like my career, my individuality, my passions early, so that regardless of when you are partnered, you have your husband and everything, those things are already set in stone. You already have a partner that knows the things about you, that you are, what you like, and it goes on. But I found out that if you get married early in life, you're kind of trying to fit into the expectations of your husband and society. And that is it's also another painful experience where a lot of married women are really, really just surviving. They're not living, you know. So when people look at single people, they look at it like they're missing out on something, but really not. Maybe if you really look at it from a fishbowl, from up there looking down, you'll find out that single people do have a very, very good quality of life. Sometimes you put a single woman with side by side with her peers. By the time a woman is married, you're raising all these children, you're dealing with this man and his ego all his life and everything. You put them side by side. The women have way more wrinkles, look way more tired. Yes, they have a bunch of children. Yes, they've been successful in a marriage for that long, which is what society expects. But I don't think they're really living the quality of life a human being should. So there's pros and cons to this thing, you know.
Fantastic. Now, Tonte, this is not to say that you're against people marrying and marrying successfully, is it?
No, it's about accentuating the positive in life all the time, and knowing that wherever you find yourself, you must always find the good in it. You cannot allow society to dictate how you should feel about yourself or where you are. You should be able to look at it and see where it is. Because at the end of the day, I'm a Christian, and at the end of the day, the Bible says that God knows every single hair that
We have, yeah.
Yeah, well, he formed us in the palm of his hand. He loves us very much and everything. So I'm not too special not to be a single person. I'm not, if this is the path if life has dealt me these cards, there's a reason for it. It means that I'm going to be an inspiration, or I'm going to be able to pull off this role real good. Because when I became divorced, I told myself this: I am going to be one of the most fabulous in the land of the divorcees. I'm going to be one of the best.
You go, girl.
And yeah, I've been very fortunate to be a bit enlightened early and seeing things, understanding life a little different. I said, this divorce thing, I'm going to blow it away. I am going to be one of these single people and it's the truth. I found out that a lot of people, I have a lot of haters just because I just appear, and I'm living my best life. I'm living my best life. You get?
Wow. Yes, I get.
Yeah, and the thing about being married is that marriage is a good thing. It is how we navigate our world, our culture, everything around the world is like to be partnered, and it's okay. And my belief says yes, you should be married and everything. But what happens to you if you're not? Are you supposed to just swear it away? Like sometimes I just wonder what I feel like. A lot of my married friends really believe when they come at you in a mind with the mindset that because you're single, you should really just be sitting around.
You should. Okay, let me put it this way for you. They feel that because you're single, you should shrivel.
You should shrivel, and you should not even enjoy love and life. That's it. You should shrivel. But that's not the case. You cannot just shrivel because you're a living person. You're alive. You get? And because I also have experience, I'm also exposed to the end stage of life because of my career. I know that I don't have enough time to live this life, to enjoy it. And that also means that because I'm not married doesn't mean I cannot be partnered. I can be partnered, but marriage, as time goes on, you already understand the BS involved, the things that men do, their mindsets. So you can smell, like my mom used to say, say this, it's I think adage, a proverb. She used to say, it's from somebody's bad fart, you know what the real poop is gonna be like. So already you can always pick up red flags easier. and say, no, 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 this is not for me. You know your boundaries. You know, I'm big on boundaries.
Yes,
Once
you
you know your
are.
boundaries, you know, I'm big on boundaries. Once you know your boundaries, if this person tries to cross it, you know, you can tell them upfront, like, no, 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 step aside. And a lot of men to think that because a woman is single, she's desperate to get married. That's not the truth. That's not the case. The more you become, the longer you're single, the more quality of a person that you expect to come into your world. Because I'm not going to bring you into my beautiful space. When you come into my home, the energy is very, 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 very sedate, peaceful. Apart from being a Nigerian Christian, I'm deep into spirituality too. So I sage my apartment. I keep the energy clear here. So you come in there, people just step into my home. Before you know it, they're snoring. It is I create a beautiful space around myself. I'm surrounded by the beautiful things I like, my books, my ornaments, my paintings. So you create this world around you, and that is how it should be, because that is how it's supposed to be even when you're married. But a lot of women don't get to do that because their whole lives revolve around their husband. And if you're married to a man that is not enlightened to allow you to be who you are and do the things that you're happy, you'll never know this aspect of life. Like I remember my uncle in Amsterdam. I went to visit him, and him and his wife were having serious issues. And she's a Dutch woman, and that day she wept. I was so heartbroken. She wept that, do you know that when I want to even decorate the house, like a woman wants to take, decorate the home to her taste, put up curtains, that it's her husband that does all the decorating. He makes all the decisions what should be in the house. Everything that the woman that's supposed to be her joy. Not,
Yeah.
he took that away from her. So some women will never experience some things that a single woman experiences. Let's just put it out there.
Wow.
The beauty of just, being able to be in tune with yourself, do the things you love. So those are the two differences. But the other side of it is that to be partnered is also a beautiful thing, because guess what? When there are two incomes in the home, you can do bigger and better things. You can do more investments. You can acquire more assets. You can raise your children. You can go farther with two incomes in the home. You can put it's just economically, financially, it makes sense to actually be married, really. Apart from the love and companionship, it's a better financial situation to be, to be in a marriage, and also end stage of life. If you end up in the hospital, having your family around, making decisions for you, but when you're single, if you don't have a close family, sorry, let me move a little to the side. If you don't have a close family unit,
to the middle,
yes, sorry. If you don't have a close family unit, you could end up so many things can happen. You could be sick. What if you have an accident? All those things. That's where marriage is very, 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 very useful. And end of stage life insurance. If people who are married should have life insurance, and each partner should have it, so that if one goes, at least the other one is left better off. Retirement. A lot of people don't really think about when you're single. Retirement planning too might, if you're not intentional with it, you might just wake up one day and, okay, you're in your 60s. Did you really save for retirement because you're busy? So there's a lot of things that happen when you're married. There's a lot of advantages and disadvantages, but those are some of the things I can think of the top of my head. And
fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you short, Tonte, because I know you can go on and on and on.
I really can.
Yeah, and listen, you're such a good person to talk to, a great conversationist. Now, Tonte, I want to read something here that some people said. Someone said, when I asked about your hair, someone said, it's Tonte's hair, of course. And someone says here, Tonte lives what she preaches. She's the happiest, the liveliest single lady living life that I know. I see her love it. While being fabulous in her skin, her greatest attribute, or her biggest attribute, in my opinion, is her confidence.
Thank you.
Wow. Now, Tonte, like I said, when I was thinking about who should talk on this conversation, I said the person that can speak the truth in a way that has that wouldn't be phony or dodgy is you.
Thank you.
Because I mean, you've said so many things, like you've said so many things. You talked about and you're very realistic and very reasonable, and you're open and honest. So you've said, listen, being single has its advantages. Being married has its advantages, and you've lined out the advantages, and you've also outlined disadvantages. So you're realistic. You know what you're talking about, and you're not fooled by this whole concept of, I don't need a man. And you also know that some women are married and wishing they were single, but they wouldn't say they're single. You know what? They wouldn't say to anybody, because you said some married women have more wrinkles than single women, because really they have a lot to put up with. And then the example that you gave about your aunt in Amsterdam that could not decorate her home, Tonte, it's heartbreaking.
It really is.
Now, I want to ask you.
And they're divorced, right? Just to let you know, they got divorced after a while.
Okay. Oops. It was going to happen. It was an accident waiting to happen. Yeah?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Now, Tonte, I want you to move to the middle. So, because I want to be able to profile you properly.
I don't know. Okay. I need to move this way. Okay.
Okay. Now, Tonte, another question I'd like to ask you is, what are the most common mistakes that single parents make?
Well, the most common mistakes I think single parents make is that they stop thinking that the most common is not preparing to be partnered, just going on and like, okay, this is my reality till the day I die, I'm going to be single. That should not be the case. You have a right to a second chance. You do have options, but you need to not think that because you never, for those people that haven't been married before, doesn't mean that you cannot be married later on in life. There are many widow men that have lost their wives, their wives have passed away. There are opportunities to settle down again, not being afraid to be partnered, and experiencing that, because there's a joy in that. The one of the biggest advantages of being married is, hopefully you marry a man that is also, there's fidelity. You get married, you don't have to worry about being out there. It's not to be partner. Every woman has desires. I mean, I'm still fortunate, knock on the wood. I'm still, I haven't reached my menopause or anything like that, but I know a lot of friends of mine have already started going through those changes and everything. Of course, when you get to a certain age, you don't want to continue to have kids, but Janet Jackson had a kid at 50 years old. But then I don't know how wise that is, because if you're 50 years old and you have a kid in another 20 years, that means you're 70 and you have a 20-year-old. If you have longevity in your life, okay, 20 years old still needs their parents, So basically, there comes to a point where you want to stop having kids. But so when you're single, you should still be mentally ready to be partnered, to get married again, if possible. And some of the mistakes single women do is they just chalk it off that, okay, I'm not going to be married. I've passed the age of getting married, but that's not the case. You need to educate yourself on what it is that you need to do to hopefully, get married again. And a lot of times women don't even like the idea of dating. They think they're too old, or now they have kids, the kids are watching them. What am I going to say if I go out on a date and my child is watching me as a single parent? No, you should be dating. And right now there are a lot of dating coaches teaching women, widows, single women, that you should date, and you should be intentional with your dating, with the intention to remarry or get married or be partnered. Okay, so there's something called rotational dating now, how to go about it, how to meet people. Now, the traditional way of just going out to a party and someone says, excuse me, dance, even though I'm kind of old fashioned, I like it, like to be, I like to be courted the old fashioned way, but no, we're in 2022. You should go, there are ways about going about dating. There's something called rotational dating, a good dating coach. You should align yourself with a good dating coach so that it can prepare you for a future of being married. It does happen. The magic does happen in as much as you enjoy. In fact, you're a better candidate for marriage when you find yourself, you're single, you know what it is you like, you know what your values are and everything. You have so much to bring into a marriage actually to even actually help a man, you know, because he too most probably has been married before, faced disappointment, and he's probably going to want to get it right the second time. So sometimes you have a better option if you marry later, and if you marry a man that has actually done this before, and you know, you're two people that just want it to work. So both of you have probably a better mindset. You've built yourself up. Your mind, your mentality is a lot more. You're no more so much. You're no more so much into your ego, you know, and so there is light at the end of the tunnel. That should be your goal. I don't believe that you should want women do this thing where they don't want. I've met so many of my friends. I ask them, so have you dated? When have you gone out on a date? They're like, oh, I'm waiting for my children to enter university first. You're waiting for your children to enter university first. That same friend of mine that told me that she's waiting for her kids to enter university, she said she asked her son, she loves her boys. She's been a divorcee with 3 boys, and she's just been on living life as a single mother, not dating, not doing anything. So the other day she told me, you know what, I asked my son, so when I'm old, can I come and live with you? Her younger son. The younger son told her, Mom, that would depend on what my wife says. If my wife says it's okay. She said she was secretly heartbroken. So I say, you see, these children will live their lives. You must invest into putting in time into being partnered when you're single. Yes, there might be a period when you're going to take a break out of this stuff, especially if you've just come fresh out of a divorce and stuff, but you must know that you have to get to the point where you are also putting in time into getting back into the game.
Okay.
And believing that you can remarry. Yeah.
Yeah, Tonte, when you talk about dating, yeah, there's a volume that's high. Maybe you should reduce your volume. Are you watching from another device?
No, just one.
Okay. So yeah, so Tonte, this thing when you talk about dating for
Yes.
single parents, I have this flash that comes into my head. So for example, if somebody has young children,
Yes.
What are the best dating practices? Because you wouldn't want your house to be like a revolving door. Auntie Cecilia comes, Auntie Joy comes, Uncle Jerry comes, Uncle Soseprala comes, and all of that. And sometimes, as a parent or as a, even as a mom, I'm very mindful. I'll be very mindful of the kind of people that come into my life because, most of the time, abusers are not strangers. You could get somebody that could come in and violate your children. So these are realities. So what is the best dating practice for a single parent?
When you start to date, you shouldn't really that should be a no-go zone. No, you're not bringing anybody home if you have kids. You understand? Just like if you were a young girl living at home with your parents, you're not going to be bringing in your boyfriends. I mean, except the person is really serious long term. You have really established that, okay, this person is someone, but even that is not even guaranteed. You understand? So I think I believe that you should keep those both worlds separate. You should date, but it's kind of it depends. It really depends. But it is true that you don't want to have to bring different partners home. But you're not looking for different partners. You're looking for this person that you're going to settle in. So if you're dating dating is dating. Dating, you go out on your dates, do things, go to the movies, whatever it is that you do. But I don't believe in bringing home, even though a lot of my cases I have seen gone into. When I was a child protective specialist, I had a lot of the calls we were getting in was maybe an ex-husband, like, oh, they'll make a report. She's now bringing in her boyfriend to the house around my children. I don't know if this person is a pedophile, blah, blah, blah. We'll go and investigate. Okay, it's the mother's new boyfriend. A lot of times women tend to go date younger men after they're divorced. So the ex-husbands don't like that. They're a little jealous. I don't know. I would go into the home and I too would not, it would not really sit well with me, but that's just because of my own personal values. This woman is living in the house, her ex-husband's a house, in America, when there's divorce, the woman gets the house with the kids.
Yeah.
So here she is. The man might even still be paying, the ex-husband might still be paying the mortgage, and here she is with a younger man in the house. So even me, it's like a little weird, but but that's the American culture is way different from the way we do things in Africa. You understand? We're a little bit more reserved about things like that. We don't want to really be parading dates in front of our children. But I guess if you're in a serious relationship with someone, at some point, it's an inevitable. If you're going to marry this person, you kind of want to see how they are around your kids, and make sure that because he's not just marrying you, the kids have to be comfortable with the person, or we're going to end up with a Cinderella story. So there's some things that are going to happen, but of course you, the woman, have to manage it. And when you're going through the dating process, in the modern day dating process, there's this thing they call rotational dating. You date, it's almost like a schedule. You have to make sure that you make sure you're dating. Be intentional with it's not you sit down, excuse me, dance, wait for someone to come and find you. No, you have to make sure that you're either out there, that you're looking for a partner, someone else. It's different now. Technology has made it, people are not even making eye contact. So before a man will now touch you, or a man even notice each other to make eye contact, to even show that they're clicking on anything, is very rare, because we are all on our smartphones. That's one of the disadvantages of the technological age. This Aquarius age is technology. So the things that used to work before, where people could know the flirting game is on, you can notice each other, like, that guy is fine, or he likes you, and your eyes connect. Nobody's eyes are connecting these days because we're all on our smartphones. So technology too has to come to the rescue. In fact, that's one of my passions too. I also I want to be a matchmaker. I have that's a whole nother. I have this concept of marriage, of matching people at wedding receptions. Like, there's no better place to meet someone than friends of the husbands, friends of the bride or the groom are all in one place in a reception. All the single people should be mingling, but that doesn't happen a lot. And that was why the catching of the bouquet and throwing of the garter was set up in the first place, so that when you go to a wedding reception, when the wife, they say, all the single ladies come out, they try to catch the bouquet. But right now, you barely see a single lady of 30 years coming out, because they're embarrassed. Like, I shouldn't be single. I'm not going to go out there and everybody know I'm single, trying to catch a bouquet. So that doesn't work anymore. So yeah, so things like that. The dating game is so complicated. So what am I trying to say? There's no better time to be single and trying to become partnered. But you have to be intentional about it. You have to follow the tools. There are tools on there, dating coaches that will show you how to date, and then you can can actually be married again. So that's one of the things single parents need to snap out of this sentencing themselves to a life of singlehood. No.
Okay.
It's just a phase. You need to be intentional with being partner, because in old age, it makes sense that you come together with somebody. It doesn't even have to anymore be about, oh, I have to get married and have kids. Oh, I have to be married. It is a financial benefit that you're partnered and you have two incomes coming in, and you're planning your end stage life, your retirement together, so that you don't end up like one of these people in a nursing home because they didn't plan.
Okay. Now, Tonte, I'm very much interested in this whole concept of rotational dating.
Yes.
And let me just say this, and this program is not for children. So,
yes.
Tonte, what is rotational dating all about? You know, the way, is sex involved in rotational dating? You know what I mean?
No.
You know, because when we talk about dating, yes. You don't want to be a revolving door. Is it that you sleep with everybody that comes your way?
They call it body count now. Body count. What's your body count?
What's the body count like? Yeah. So are you going to be having body counts? I mean, what is this whole, what is a healthy way about dating?
Yes. So that's the beautiful thing about rotational dating, in that women seem to think this dating thing involves, oh, I have this one boyfriend, it doesn't work, over to the next, and before you know it, you have a whole body count. No, that's the beautiful thing about rotational dating. Rotational dating is not about sleeping with someone. It's about giving yourself more options. Now, it's so sad that that's why they say it's a man's world. It really is a man's world, because let's start from being a woman. A woman, you come of age. You're out there, a man approaches you, starts to talk to you, You might not even like him. He likes you. That doesn't work. You might see someone you like, the guy has so many other options and you are not his number one. That doesn't work. So the woman is faced with so many different things. That's why they say a woman might have to kiss a lot of frogs before she meets her prince. You understand? And then again, a woman that has had so many men in her life, men don't find that very fascinating. Some men don't care, you know, but a lot of men think they will ask a woman, what is your body count, which I don't think is anybody's business really. But if you have been raised in a certain lifestyle or religious beliefs, we don't really want to have too many men that we have slept with, or that is why marriage becomes such something that people aspire to, because you know that, okay, this man, I'm married to this man, and that's it. I don't have to deal with this dating thing and trying to figure this thing out. But then when you're single, the journey to being partnered, how do you manage it without your children seeing you having one boyfriend or the other? It's rotational dating. Rotational dating, according to, there's a lady I follow on Clubhouse. That's the first time I heard this concept. Her name is Tora Sense, Torahcents, Tora Sense. She has a business where she trains women on how to date with the intention of marriage within even a short period of time. So basically, she teaches you how to go on the app, create a wonderful profile, and how to date with intention, go out on a date, you know, and then when you start this dating process, you don't just meet this one person and put all your head and tail inside that one situation and just hope it works out, because most times it might not become the outcome you want. You're supposed to continue to date rotationally. Different people go out on dates with multiple people until you've established someone that is your front runner. That front runner is the one that has shown consistency with you. Has the same the goals as you, also wants to be married, and is also being more serious with your interaction. And then it gets to the point where you have to introduce this person to at least one male figure in your family that can kind of observe the person for you, so that you know if they're, before you end up with a player, because many men know how to play their game. There's a lot of narcissistic men and things like that. So it's a whole process. It's almost like a science. It's like another job on its own. Your dating life is not something you just leave to chance. You are intentional with it, and so that way that places you in a higher advantage of actually ending up with a partner that you're going to get married to. So that's what rotational dating is. Yes.
Fantastic.
So
Tonte, we have so many questions.
Sure.
So many questions. So I'm enjoying this conversation so much that I'm just like, I'm just listening and I'm taking notes. So Tonte, can a single parent successfully, can a single parent successfully? Can someone parent their children successfully as a single parent?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many videos and conversations around this. The only difference between a single person and a married person is that there's a man living full-time in the home, and then you are single. When you can successfully raise your child, because even though you don't have a husband at home, you have brothers, he has uncles, you have other male figures in your home. Fantastic. And that is where you bring in the bridge. That's where you bring in the balance. You have to have the male people in your family step in, get involved, make sure your child is spending, so that you have the balance, the yin and yang, the feminine and masculine energies are all in there. And if you're missing a man in the household, you have your brothers. My brother is very involved. My brothers are involved with my son very closely. They talk to him, give him money all the time, advise him, interact with him. So my son always knows, even though my son's father is very much involved in his life too, you understand? So my situation is a little different in that my ex-husband was really obsessed with my son, and did spend a lot of time in his upbringing, etc. On the other hand, for women that the men are just have moved on, remarried, don't really care about their kids from before, that could be you owe it to your child to make sure that you get the male figures in your family involved closely with your child, so that there's that balance.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Fantastic. Your father, for example, if you don't have, the child's, your father could play the role, could be that father,
Yes,
or the
yes,
granddad.
grandfathers are very good at that. They're even the best.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. You know, grandparents love their kids. They love their grandkids very much.
Yeah.
You know, so, but you hopefully they are within the same area where you live, because some people are living abroad or really far away from their parents. So yeah. And then sometimes if you don't, let's say you're one of those girls that don't have a lot of male figures in your family, if you go to church, I'm sure you can find people that are good mentors.
Okay,
A good program.
Tonte, when you say that, I'm not against, listen, I'm so careful with so many people. The other day I was reading something and I nearly ran mad,
Yes.
Listen, it's God that will help all of us. You know what I mean? Because some people, they are
Yes.
pedophiles that walk around everywhere, and you don't want to expose. Listen, they're everywhere. So they're in the Boy Scout, they're in the football, they are football coaches. So I think that we just have to be careful.
Very, very careful.
And sometimes, but you know what? I just feel sometimes that some women, I don't want women to feel that because that you don't have a male present in your life, that you must throw your child to every male person that comes your way. I don't think that you should do that, really. I don't think so. Now, I just wanted to ask you this other question. Yeah, how do you, because you talked about co-parenting, and you said you have a fantastic co-parenting situation.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking, how do I encourage a good co-parenting relationship?
So really, I'm sorry that I went as far as talking about the other male figures. Really, one of the number one things a woman should be doing is making sure that even though your interaction, because some people never got married to the father of their kids. I was married before, so my situation is a little different. You should encourage. What happens is that women, they do this thing where, okay, marry me, so you will not talk to my child anymore. I have a cousin that is going through this. The woman, she just completely isolated, did not want the man involved in the child because he went off and married somebody else. So he will not allow her daughter enjoy her father. That is so very wrong. It didn't work out between both of you. It doesn't mean that you should deprive your child of access to the father. The men must want to be, a lot of decent men want to be involved in their child's life, participate, bring them home, do all those things. So women need to be very cautious of that. Do not traumatize your child. That is therapy. You are giving your child issues, more issues than Time magazine, when you deprive your child access to the other parents. It's a very, very bad thing, because every parent has something they're bringing to the table regarding their child. Like for me, when it comes to my child, I have to inject the right balance of emotional intelligence. My son's father is I don't want to say it in such a way because it's on video so that it doesn't offend him, but he's not a traditionally family-oriented kind of background, so to them, which is, he has his benefits. He will make sure the child has everything he needs. He goes to the best schools and everything. But a lot of times, children need one-on-one nurturing, teaching them how not to be selfish, how to be giving, how to not be only, the ego thing. There are things there are lessons each parent can bring to the child based on their own backgrounds. You get what I'm saying? So when we do not allow the other parent, like my ex-husband is a businessman. He knows how to make money. He's a hustler and everything. Okay. My son is getting that angle from him. But there are things that I teach my son. I literally have to teach my son how to toast his baby. I have to teach my son how to do nice things. I teach my son how to treat your girlfriend on Valentine's Day, how to open the door, how to go get a gift, make sure you get a nice present for her, do all those. I have to literally supervise him on that aspect of life, the nurturing, the emotional intelligence, how to care about, so each parent brings different things to the table. So when you deprive the child access to the other parents, you're taking away something from your child.
Oh, that's so true. Tonte, like I can listen to you all day. Now, I thought you were wondering, only me on this Ibi Speaks. What am I going to say? When you come on Ibi Speaks, you will know.
I was like, oh my
what.
God, am I the only one? You know, yeah.
So, Tonte, so the next question would be, what
Yeah.
are some of the strategic planning tips for single parents? And this cuts across both men and women, because again, you have a broad spectrum of experiences. You have life experiences, you know, and so what are some of the strategic life planning tips? You touched on it bits and bobs here and there, but I
Yeah.
want us to outline them so that people can actually listen and run away with them.
Number one, we have this thing where a lot of people believe that's why a lot of people have a lot of children, because they believe that that child is their pension plan. Not in this day and age. Your child is not your pension plan. That's okay. When I
Did you
get
watch my
old,
last program? Because a lot of people, because the last program I had was retirement. They said Omugo is not a retirement plan.
thank you. Thank you. The children of today, times is changing. Even by 2030, now all cars are going to be electric. Times are changing. The world, everybody, even those that think they're going to live in Nigeria forever, there are so many people that thought they will never leave Nigeria and move abroad. They are abroad now. Same thing, the people abroad too might end up going back to Nigeria. Let's say the obedient campaign takes off and Nigeria really becomes a better place. A lot of people will go back home. Still doesn't mean that your children are going to love you. They're going to try their best, but that is not your part. To be strategic as a single parent who is also thinking about your retirement. Are you putting away enough money for retirement? What are you doing with your job, your 401k, all the plans in there? What are you going to do after you're no longer working, you retire? You have to think very futuristic. Don't think that this is my one and only child. Okay, I'm a single parent. I have suffered for this child since. Anything can happen. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Save, plan. Now, another thing a lot of people try to do, I'm seeing it with my friends. You know, a lot of my married friends, even when they're married, they're still trying to keep up with the Joneses or the Kardashians. Living above them. How can you be at this age where we are right now and you have not cut your coat according to your size? You are trying to live a Kim Kardashian lifestyle, and yet you cannot even maintain it. We should be at this point when we're cutting out all the excesses and have enough to be comfortable with and be preparing for our future. Because you give your children a big mansion to live in and they look good among their friends doesn't guarantee that when you're old, they're going to, even if you took care of your parents and changed their diapers, doesn't guarantee that your own children will do it for you.
That's a sad reality, Tonte. It's a sad reality,
yes.
But it's a reality that is looking real.
Yes, and I'm going to give you a real life example. 2 years ago, the principal of my school, I went to a convent school, a very private convent school, and my principal was a white American woman, and she was married to a man from Opobo, Mrs. Joe Jaja. And of course, at some point he died, and she was managing the school and later retired, and she looked left, looked right, and she said, let me go back to America. And she was living in Indianapolis, and she lived till she was 92, about the Queen's age, 94. And we went, so I had to travel all the way from Seattle to her funeral. About 4 of us from different parts in the United States went for her funeral. This woman planned her funeral up to the hymns in the program. She had bought her burial land in the cemetery. Everything was planned out so that even her son, her stepson, who was a professor, by the time he came, he didn't have to pay a dime. Like, even she already knew that if I'm going to rely on, because she never had any biological children, even though she raised 2 on her own. She never believed that I have to leave this thing to chance. Everything was paid for, planned. It was just, I learned something from that moment. We are supposed to take care. We should not be putting living burdens on our kids in terms of certain things. You understand? We're supposed to plan. And we know that in our parents' time, it wasn't like that. Or, kids handled it. It's not, the times have changed. If you notice, a lot of Africans are also having just 2 children now. People are not having too many children like before. They have a boy, they have a girl, they're okay. I know a lot of families like that. So you have to plan your retirement as a single person. Make sure that you're looking at what's out there, your life insurance policies, funeral policies, make these things, and writing wills and all those things, are important. Don't leave it to chance. You understand? And also, as to be strategic is to live with it. You do not have to keep up with the Joneses. You do not have to have all these things that your friends and they look like they're having. All that glitters is not gold. I repeat again, all that glitters is not gold. I am seeing people riding around in luxury cars with cracked windshields, and I'm trying to understand, like, what is the rationale? Stop this thing. Live, create a life that is decent. You should be able to go on a holiday vacation every year. You should be able to provide things for your family, clothes. You don't need to, keep it simple, stupid, KISS. Keep your life simple. You understand? And a single person should know this, because already you're doing a lot of these things by yourself, and you've been doing it for a long time. So nothing is as unattractive as a single person that is in debt. What are you going into debt for? Please. Why are you in debt? What do you need that is going to put you in debt? You only need a bed to sleep in, a living room, kitchen, a good working refrigerator. Maybe you can put in an extra freezer like I have here. Why are you in debt?
What if you're in debt for a good reason, Tonte, like investments?
That's what I'm saying. Are you not doing all those investments because you two want to live in a gigantic house and show that you have arrived and everything. So you go and take high risk investments that you're too ashamed to even accept that you have lost out on? Come on now, people. To be happy is not expensive. Happiness is free. Happiness is completely free. Keep it simple. You don't have to buy everybody's Ibi. You have nice clothes in your closets. Take it easy. When you buy the Ibi, then when you get to the party, they give you one iron. They're giving you special gifts. So you don't have iron at home. What are we doing?
Tonte, you're shaking tables here.
What are we doing? It does not cost anything to look good. My earrings, you do not have to have all the gold in the world. Gold they lost. I've seen all these things. I've seen life. I've chopped money. But I've learned early what matters most. Peace of mind. POM. I was going to open a YouTube channel about that, because there is nothing more than peace of mind.
Tonte, please open the channel and let us know.
Pom. Peace of mind, peace of mind, peace of mind. That's my concept. As in, I am watching people living in giant mansions, living the so-called flamboyant life, and they wake up on Saturday morning and they're going to work. Please explain this to me. You're working on Saturday and you think you've arrived. You're buying houses that you cannot even sleep in. Now, even mosquitoes, they enjoy the house past you. What is this? We need to come correct, or don't come at all.
Is that your own saying?
Come correct or don't come at all. You're not coming correct. You're living in a fool's paradise. So if you're single, please, you're not missing out. Take care of your skin. And you don't have to go to the most expensive skin product or whatever. There's so many things you can do for yourself. The basics. Take care of yourself. Go join a gym. I don't stress myself in the gym. I stroll. I put on my Amazon music, workout music. Sometimes it's only Yemi Alade to play for me. And I'm dancing and strolling on my treadmill for 1 hour. It's not stress. I'm not going to go and punish myself. Keep it simple. You only need a car with 4 wheels. Okay, let us say bad as it bad, you want to drive Mercedes Benz and all those cars. Do you know you can hire it? If it's party you want to go, you can go and rent that thing. That's
in America, but not in Nigeria, Tonte. In America, you can. Maybe in the UK, in Europe, you can.
Okay, so let's say, Nigeria. Okay, so you want to tell me you cannot rent a car. You can go call a hotel and say, I want a luxury car for the day and rent it. Like, you can do all these things. You do not have to just drown in it.
Okay.
If it means that much to you, if it means that, because somebody like me, it has never, maybe because I came from an elitist background.
Yeah, I get you, Tonte. I do,
yes,
because most of the time,
Yeah.
most of the time when you grew up undeprived
Yes.
and you grew up well, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Then certain things don't bother you. You don't care.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to wear your importance on your body.
Yes.
I look at what I wear. I just wear black t-shirts because
I keep it simple.
I keep it simple. Tonte, listen, Tonte, this conversation is so interesting, but you see, we just have to go. So I want to thank everyone who has taken the time out to listen to us today. And if you're just joining us today and you haven't watched and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. It's Ibinabo Enebi, and you can follow me on my Facebook page, on my LinkedIn, on my Instagram, on my TikTok. And guys, please help me to grow my YouTube channel by subscribing and then leaving a comment. Tonte, we've had a very fruitful conversation. I enjoyed my 1 hour, 30 minutes with you.
Thank you.
And I hope that one day we will come back and I will see you again. And so what else would I would say? Listen, Tonte, I'm going to call you, so just keep your phone open. And thank you, everybody. And next week, I'm going to have another very interesting conversation on the Avoiding the Later Life Crisis series. I am working on very interesting topics. And so please, if you enjoyed this video, like it on my YouTube channel and feel free to share. And Tonte, I'm going to call you and bye, everybody. Bye. I'm really appreciative that.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Somebody. Okay. So Tonte, I'll call you, yeah?
Okay. Take care.